Mr. Harris, you state that you're a family man who first became a father at the age of 12, going on 13.
It was just one night stands and here and there pleasurable moments, to be honest, Your Honor.
Family court features parents fighting it out over who the real father of their children is, but some of these parents are quite young themselves. We mean as young as 13 years old.
You petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that Mr. Harris is the father of your 9-month-old twins, Shekinah and Malachi Galloway.
Here are all the psycho teen parents who made it to family court. Galloway versus Marcus.
You all got started having babies way too young. How did you get together?
It was just one night stands and here and there pleasurable moments, to be honest, Your Honor.
When the judge revealed how young the parents in this case were when they first parented children, the audience could not believe what they heard.
Mr. Harris, you state that you're a family man who first became a father at the age of 12, going on 13.
When I met her, it was in church, like usual, like the rest of her baby daddies. I mean, I'm keep it real.
Marcus maintains that the twins were not his and were the result of Galloway's previous relationship.
No doubt, not at all. Not at all, because during this time, like I said,
Did you sleep with Mr. Samuels too?
No.
That's a lie.
That is not a lie.
He claims that Galloway just wants child support.
Just like the boyfriend you had before you met me and had sex with me, you was
You
talking
are trying to throw up everything that you can.
It ain't no case. You only want child support.
The two then fight over the seriousness of their relationship, with Marcus being particularly embarrassed when Galloway reveals how short their one-night stands used to last.
You did not use protection.
No, I didn't.
We did not use
no,
protection, and it was like maybe 3 minutes, and then he was like, okay, I have
no,
to use
3 minutes, 45 minutes.
You mean
45 minutes?
You mean 4 to
And you
5
saying-
minutes?
Things get interesting when the judge also invites Galloway's previous partner, who talks about how unserious Marcus is and how he had to step up and be a father to his kids when the latter slacked.
Mr. Samuels, we've heard testimony today. Mr. Harris has indicated he believes you had a sexual relationship with Ms. Galloway.
Okay, baby, basically when the twins got sick, I asked Mr. Galloway, I said, where's Ray? She said, he's not doing enough for the kids. He's not trying to do nothing. And based on us, I went to the store and I got the Tylenol because the babies had a fever.
Let's have a look at who was the real father.
In the case of Galloway versus Harris, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Samuels, you are not the father.
Shands versus Hollis.
You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you two can finally be a family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
This case was a little more heartbreaking than the first one.
Why are you now saying Mr. Hollis is the baby's father?
Because, like, my baby had more futures than the other guy.
Yes, he did.
Or
He
features.
Despite being her first love, Hollis was denying fatherhood of Shan's 15-month-old Aiden. He claimed that the real father was his best friend, whom she became involved with while she was with him.
And then that was that, and she started messing with my homeboy, and she started messing with multiple people.
Me and his was close friends once before.
They was.
Wait, it gets messier.
But I thought it was cool to go mess with one of his friends because he had slept with one of mine.
After becoming involved with Hollis's best friend, she started cheating on him with Hollis.
Like, I knew about the whole best friend thing, but, like, now that they done slept around on me, like, I don't know, like, they probably were doing it then.
They was.
Like, back when they were best friends.
I believe they was.
When she finally had the baby, she looked more like Hollis than the other guy, which led Shands to suspect it was her former/current lover. It gets confusing.
Why are you now saying Mr. Hollis is...
My baby had more futures than the other guy.
Yes, he did.
Or
He
features. So you admitted that it was a possibility?
Yes, Your Honor, I did admit that it was a possibility.
As to the question of who was the father, let's pull on that curtain.
In the case of Shands versus Hollis, Mr. Hollis, you are not the father.
Richardson versus Smith.
Mr. Smith begged you to have a baby with him?
He had told me he was in a situation where he didn't know if he were going to live a long time, so he had said he wanted a child with me.
Unlike the rest of the parents on this list, these two were actually together and even tried having a baby.
I left on the 28th. On the 31st, I had sent for him to come in town. That day we did have sex, and that's whenever my daughter was conceived. I called him immediately.
So why did they fall out and start doubting who the child's father was? Bobby Smith had this to say.
wasn't really thinking. Well, she was like,
No.
she have baby fever.
No.
And I was
That's
like,
not at all. I did not have
wow.
baby fever. I was only
She
19 years
talking to me,
old.
though.
The two are so confused, they can't even think of a reason why they wanted to have a baby.
If we both agree we want to have a baby, we can have a baby, you know? Like, we could, you know, start trying to have one.
For what?
I don't know. Just the thought of it, I guess.
You cannot have babies by everybody you feel like you fall in love with.
They blame each other when the judge asks whose idea it was to have a baby.
Once we didn't conceive in June and July, I told him that we weren't financially stable and I wanted to wait until we're further in our relationship.
The judge then calls Brock on the stand, who claims he'll die for Brianna and the baby.
Mr. Brock, thank you for joining us today. I'd like to know, what is your relationship exactly with Ms. Richardson?
I'm gonna keep it real with you. I would die for Brianna. It's just because I've built that relationship with him that quick. We've told each other things that I have told nobody else.
But the judge isn't having any of that intense emotion from these kids.
So
You all are all just kids.
Exactly.
And everything is so
Exactly.
intense.
Things get a little confusing when the judge calls Bobby Smith's mother, and she says she believes the baby is her son's daughter.
I've been trying to talk to these young people, Miss Bagley.
Yes.
What do you know about this? Do you believe Kalani is your granddaughter?
Yes, I do.
So who actually is the father, Brock or Smith? Let's find out.
In the case of Richardson versus Smith, the biological father is Mr. Smith.
Jackson versus Pickens. This case was a little different since the father was not present on account of being in jail at the time. This is why his mother stepped up at court.
Ms. Jackson, you are petitioning the court to determine the paternity of your alleged granddaughter. You claim your son, who is currently incarcerated, would be a fool to think he fathered Ms. Pickens' one-year-old daughter.
She claimed that Pickens was a liar and was cheating on him with multiple men.
Now, you say she's a liar and had sex with multiple men at the time of conception. Yes.
Does Pickens deny these claims? Well, not exactly.
Now, Ms. Pickens, you admit to sleeping with at least 2 other men while involved with Ms. Jackson's son. You argue Ms. Jackson initially accepted your daughter with open arms, but now has turned on you both.
Yes, Your Honor.
The judge then has questions for Miss Jackson, who Pickens claimed accepted the baby at first.
Okay, so Ms. Jackson, why did you initially accept the baby if you had doubts?
Your Honor, I never accepted the baby. That's a lie. I stated from day one, I do not believe this is my granddaughter.
Things get a little rowdy in the court, and the judge has to quiet them both down multiple times.
Yes, I do. I have a relationship. He lives in my household.
I knew your son before
He lives
I
in my
met
household.
you. I knew your son
And he
before I
never
met
mentioned
you.
her.
He had
Okay, let's get some order, ladies. Yeah.
However, when they don't listen, she has to do this.
Somebody else. I just talking to somebody else.
Ladies, I can't understand a word any of you all are saying.
Okay.
Yes.
As it turns out, Miss Jackson had her reasons for doubting the teen mother, including her lying about pregnancy and giving her a bogus number for the hospital.
Did you get a DNA test with him?
No, ma'am.
So why are you convinced he's not the father and Miss Jackson's son is?
Her son pursued me. He called.
No. The pursuit doesn't have anything to do with the pregnancy.
But what about Jackson's son going to their house and claiming that he was in fact the father?
So when you say he pursued you, you
Yes.
meant when you had this baby,
Yes.
Miss Jackson's son called
Yes.
you and said,
Yes.
that's my baby.
Yes.
The judge again directs her questioning to Miss Jackson, and she almost breaks down in tears.
If this is my grandchild, I will apologize to her. I said this to her on Facebook, and I will take in that child. But I don't believe in my heart, Your Honor, and I'm not wrong, but I feel like this child is mine.
Before the results are revealed, Jackson's witness has this to claim about why Pickens may be lying about the father.
Position she's taking is based upon the fact she just wants to destroy what you all have.
Basically.
And she's jealous of it.
Very.
This time, it isn't about the reveal, but the chaos that ensues after it happens. Buckle your seatbelts.
Mrs. Jackson, you are not her grandmother.
Got you.
Yes!